prevent crimes against humanity after the atrocities and Holocaust of World War II. Doctors and experts over the weekend sounded the alarm over failures to put principles into action in countries like China. NTD's Jeremy Sandberg has more.
Washington-based medical ethics advocacy group Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting hosted an international roundtable Sunday to focus on challenges putting the principles of universal human rights into action and the horrific crimes of the CCP.
All nations and individuals have to reckon with the realities of the Holocaust, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights represented the gap between a humanitarian ideal and living up to it on the ground.
75 years after the declaration, the panel suggests the international community pause and reflect on who's had their rights trampled on and who's been left behind. Executive Director of the group, Dr. Torsten Trey, told NTD it's important to understand that the CCP's forced organ harvesting is not about organ trafficking, it's about killing people to harvest their organs.
And that's a phenomenon that we only have seen in China.
Trey says organ transplants in China spiked exponentially after 1999 when the persecution of Falun Gong started. Chinese authorities estimated at the time that up to 100 million people were practicing Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa.
But it was actually only in 2006 when we learned from whistleblowers that the prisoners of conscience, Falun Gong practitioners, were the main source of for forced organ harvesting.
Since then, Trey says the CCP has tried to suppress and destroy Falun Gong, with forced organ harvesting and persecution being the regime's ultimate solution. He says the CCP has built a sophisticated network of influence to cover its crimes, and uses blatant economic pressure and political threats, along with propaganda, to spread a false representation of what Falun Gong is.
They practice Buddhist Qigong, and they follow the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance.
The doctor says the best thing to do to have an impact is simply break the silence.
So if everyone takes a moment to understand what Falun Gong is about, that Falun Gong is about truthfulness, compassion, forbearance, things that we could use very well in these times, if we learn about this and then speak about it, and also understand about the forced organ harvesting and speak about the forced organ harvesting, we basically lift the concealed eradication to the daylight and thus defeat the purpose.
An independent people's tribunal in London concluded in 2019 that forced organ harvesting in China has taken place on a significant scale for years, with detained Falun Gong practitioners as the primary source. The persecution in China continues today. Jeremy Sandberg, NTD News.